want to welcome everyone. Ms. Shaquila Henderson-Baker has our invocation.
Please bow your heads. Father, in the name of Jesus, thank you for this opportunity to serve the children of the school system, the teachers, the administrators, the community, and all of the stakeholders. Father, grant us the wisdom to make the right decisions for the right reasons. Father, we pray for progress within our school system as we begin to engage in new leadership. Father, keep everyone safe over the summer. Have them have a safe return back to school. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is special recognition. I don't believe we have special recognition this evening. So next is our public participation. Ms. Henderson-Baker, read our rules.
Public participation is the time that the board has set aside to encourage you as members of our community to voice your opinion on any matter either included on or excluded from the printed agenda. A maximum time of 5 minutes will be allotted to a single individual or a single topic based on the number of requests. Complaints against any employee of the school system will not be heard unless the complaint has been submitted in writing to the superintendent at least 7 days prior to the board meeting. If unresolved, any personal complaints about school personnel must be put in writing for the board to review in executive session. Personal attacks against any member of the board will not be tolerated. Once the time for public participation has passed, discussion of topics will be restricted to board members only. Thank you in advance for complying with this request. Madam Chairman, we have 2 participants who have signed up for public participation.
All right. Let's begin with Miss Catherine Lewis, I believe it is.
My child, the last calendar year, went to Newton County School.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you come to the microphone for the folks who may watch this later on?
Yay!
We want to hear you.
That was loud. My child went to Newton County School this last calendar year. We just had 3rd grade.
It may not be on, I'm sorry.
Is it all? Here comes David. Thank you, David.
Okay. My child attended Newton County Theme School this last calendar year we just had for school. She was in 3rd grade, and she did pass her CRCT for reading, yay her, but she is being retained. And I need to find out what the appeal process is.
Okay. I'll call on either Lee Peck or Deputy Superintendent Fury, either one.
Not having the board policy in front of me. The appeals process for grades, there is not an appeals process when you're talking about a student's grade. The process would be to contact the school, talk with the principal. The principal would then contact the teacher, and then they would examine any issues that if there is a problem with the grade. For example, if your daughter did an assignment and didn't get recorded, then they would make those adjustments. But outside of that, the appeals process is related to not passing the CRCT. And the processes, there are 2. The CRCT process that has the appeal process, and then a grade process for retention. The principal is the final determinant in that sort of a process when you're talking about grades. The principal makes the final decision. When you're talking about grades, when you're talking about the CRCT,
Right.
There's a formalized appeal process that you go through.
She passed CRCT. That part
Right,
I'm
so
not
then
worried
the
about.
grade part, you
She
would.
had 5 ones and everything else was 2s and 3s.
Right.
5 ones out of 24 subjects. That's not a reason to hold a child back.
Right.
And I have contacted the principal. I have done all my due diligence on that.
Have you had a meeting with him? Have you met with him? Or
He
just
sent back
and
an
forth?
email and said she's being retained.
Okay. He's not in the office. He's out of the office until the beginning of the school.
My suggestion would be that we do due diligence, which Ms. Fury does very well, and that you and/or Mr. Peck meet with Mr. Minicuso and the parent here
Right.
to review what he has determined, why he has determined it, and determine if you should intervene at that point or not.
Absolutely.
And that's what I would recommend.
All right, the next is Ms. Ash.
Hi.
Hello?
I have two questions, and they're really on the same topic because we're talking about my granddaughter. Okay? As you just heard, what I want to know from you is about placement, what is your placement policy, and I want to know exactly how many of those standards must a child get below on a 1 in grades before they say, oh, we need to retain this child, because you only have 4 standards. So if you've got, she just gave you the numbers that the child had on the report card, and the child passed the CRT test, let's take that off the board. What's your basis for retaining a child based on the standards? How many 1s do they have to have, or how many 2s and 3s must they have? Is it just arbitrary, or does what the child does on the whole not matter? That's what I really want to know. There's got to be a certain amount of 1s and you fail, or a certain amount of 2s and we're going to consider it. And how do we find out about placement? You don't want to promote her? How do we have it placed in the next grade? Because 5 1s, even 11 1s out of a total of 90, I think you have 99 on that little 3rd grade report card, it's somewhere between 90 and 99. 11 1s for the whole year, 5 coming in at the second half. How can you justify that? So please tell me, what is the magic number that you cannot exceed of 1s to be promoted?
Ms. Fury, you may want to come forth again, or Mr. Peck, who's a longtime elementary principal.
Well, yeah, the way we do that in elementary school is there really is no designated ones number amount. The principal meets with the teachers and they sit down, and usually the parents are involved in that decision, and they go through the work and they look at it and they try to make a recommendation. At some point, some parents don't agree to the retention, but the principal does make the final decision. So if the parent and the principal don't agree, the principal makes the final decision for retention.
And Lee,
based on-
Lee, can I presume too that it's not just a matter of quantity?
Right.
It may be the particular standard or standards that are non-mastered. They might be so critical to reading, for example, or to math competency, that they may warrant real concern in terms of grade promotion. Am I right along those
Yes,
lines
sir,
or
you're
not?
right.
Then if I take what you said, then if you notify the parent on the 23rd of May, oh, we're going to retain your child, is that due diligence, and is that enough notice for the parents to meet when school is out the next day? What is your policy on advance notice, making sure we as parents have enough notice and with teachers, and we've been meeting all year long? How can you how's that rectified?
Well, in elementary, what we ask the administrators to do and the teachers is to talk to parents at the February conference. There's an early release day, and we do notify parents of if, your child doesn't make gains or meet these standards, and it is possible that they will be recommended for retention at the end of the year. That way the parent is notified and does have, they're not just told at the end of May. That has been the practice.
I'm going to interrupt you, sir, and I know it's very, very rude, but I only have a few minutes, and I need to let you know there was no notification at all. We met in January, we met in February, we met in April. Her little note to say she was doing okay, she's on target. So I need the board to address the matter of retaining a child any child. And you need to have a little bit more going on than, okay, it's going to be this principal's decision. Oh, we're going to give you so much time, and then it's not followed. If we as parents and grandparents have to adhere to your policies, which you don't even follow, then how are we going to do what's in best interest for the child? So, placement. How do we find out about placement? I mean, reading your Georgia codes is really strange. That's the last thing I need to know.
When you're talking about placement.
Placing
for
the child in
next-
the next grade. The child is scheduled to be tested for special education. And that won't happen until who knows when. We requested it in March. So, and there was a hold up on that, so placement. That's what I need to find out. And how can we make sure that the schools and the teachers are letting parents know in time to put in some preventive measures? The day before school is out is not time. Giving us notice.
Presuming your facts are accurate, I certainly understand your sentiments tonight. But once again, what I would ask you to allow us to do is to have the deputy superintendent, soon-to-be superintendent, and the elementary director look at those questions and talk with Principal Meneguzzo about what do they do procedurally, what did they do this time, and report back to the Board of Education. So I think we should look seriously at the questions asked tonight and let there be a report back once due diligence is completed.
And how would I get, and how would my daughter get to find out what the results were? Would we be notified? Do we
I
need
think
to
you'll be
call?
part of the meeting.
Okay. Then you have given me the answers that I needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Matthews and Madam Chairman, can I use an example too, right quick for that? On the ones, just using an example for the report card, because Dr. Matthews was talking about critical grades and it depends on what subject area. And I know you mentioned how many scores are on that progress report or that report card, like out of 90-something content. It could be that, and we don't know that information, and that's why we like to get back to people. It could be on the report card that a 1 was in, and I'm just gonna use an example, math, reading, economics, because there's an economic section on the 3rd grade, ELA, English Language Arts. So those would be your, and that's only 4, but he or she had a 4 in art or physical education or something like that. So you can't really compare those critical areas to the other areas. So just using that as a specific example on the ones, and as well as reminding parents about our protocol list. Whenever you feel like you're not being heard or a situation is not being taken care of, there's a protocol list that goes home with every child at the beginning of the school year. And so it tells you that point of contact. So if you feel like the principal is not, it tells you to go to the AP first, then the principal next, then the director of curriculum instruction, and then it follows up with the superintendent, and then it's us. So that's for any parent. When you feel like that concern is not being heard, take that little thing, put it on your refrigerator so you know those point of contacts so that we can handle the matter.
We've done all the steps up to that. You are the last step.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we need to approve our agenda for the evening. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, next, approval of our minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is our superintendent's reports. Operations, financial, Ms. Bullard.
Our financial report for May shows tax revenues now exceeding budget by 1.7 million, and will likely exceed collections by more than 2 million before the year is done. Expenditures are better than budgeted at this time, 89.36% versus 91.6%. We do expect that to get a little closer to 100%, but I believe we will history says we will come in a little under on our budgeted expenditures also.
Great.
And SPOS collections have decreased again slightly, $853,689, which is a $42,783 decrease from April. Those are being affected by the change in the car taxes, that we used to get sales taxes from cars, now we get ad valorem taxes from them. But we're still averaging well over SPOS 3 for monthly collections. And the new automobile tax collections, which began in March, were $181,890 for May. And so the total collections for that tax this year is $435,285. I did also send you, normally we would not have the tax digest information for the June meeting, but since I got it before the meeting and we put the ad in the paper, tomorrow's paper, you have that information, and the tax digest ended up being down again, as we knew it would be, 5.26%, but we budgeted it at 6% down, so we'll get a little more in taxes next year, about $270,000 if collections go well, than we had expected when we did our budget. Okay.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Next is Ms. Lumens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Under maintenance and operations, summer work is well in progress with the maintenance staff, and our large project this summer is the installation of a door security system on all of the schools, and that is well underway. Capital projects, Newton High School replacement, furniture installation is ongoing and should be complete by the end of June. Teams have completed the move of selected furniture from the old building and allowing administrators to officially establish school operations in the new facility. The project is currently 99% complete and on schedule. Under student transportation, the average cost per gallon of diesel fuel for May was $3.31. In May of 2012, that was $3.44, so we've seen a little bit of savings there. And under school nutrition, the Newton County Theme School and Eastside High School students participated in a bike or walk the Eastside Trail event on May the 8th. It was organized by the School Nutrition Department, the Newton County Trails, and Newton County Board of Commissioners. And we had approximately 35 theme school students and 5 Eastside High School students participate in the event.
Great. Any questions?
I have a question on capital projects, and it may actually not be a question for you, Ms. Lumens, but it's a question about the new Newton High School and the replacement and the dates that were released for the students and then the open house for the parents. Is it possible to do a date for just like stakeholders in the community?
For an open house?
Mhm.
Well, there's a dedicated, could I
Well,
ask?
the principal happens to be
The principal happens to be here, so could I?
Well, I didn't know if y'all wanted me to address Craig either, so.
Yes, ma'am. August 25th is the dedication ceremony. That's going to be August 25th at 3 p.m. So we are prepared to bring in all the stakeholders. We have a tour date for seniors.
Right.
Then for juniors, for sophomores, freshmen, we'll have the open house on July 31st. Parents will be able to come in, and then on August 25th, we hope for it to be a very grand celebration for all.
Okay, so that 25th date is when you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Curriculum and instructional technology report, Mr. Peck.
Good evening. On our curriculum, instruction, and technology report for June, number one, we have our elementary and secondary content specialists and content leaders have been working diligently to revise our curriculum maps and align resources for teachers for use during the 2013-2014 school year. Critical vocabulary for all subject levels has been determined using the Common Core Georgia Performance Standards. Our fifth grade students visited their respective middle schools on May 1st. This was a wonderful activity to build the background knowledge for our rising sixth graders by providing them with the opportunity to learn the new expectations for the upcoming school year. Number 4, we are looking at all CRCT and EOCT data. It will be analyzed over this next month, and we'll look at our content strengths and weaknesses, and a plan will be developed to address any content weaknesses for the coming school year. Under technology integration, all of our secondary classrooms will have the ViewPath SAFE system next school year. Initial training to integrate this technology in classroom lessons will begin at the Summer Technology Conference, Teaching for Tomorrow, which will be held on July the 25th. We have currently 416 teachers that have pre-registered for this conference. 9 technology vendors agreed to participate in this year's conference by offering presentations to teachers regarding the effective integration of technology into classroom lessons. Also, the results, number 6, from the 8th grade technology assessments are now available. All of our middle schools improved their scores from last year, with Cousins having the largest gain of 27 points, or 10%. 3 schools, Clements, Cousins, and Liberty, achieved proficiency. The district score improved from 281 to 295 for a 5% gain. To achieve proficiency on this assessment, a school or a district would have to achieve a score of 300. On number 13, the EOCTs, the end of the course tests are administered at each high school May the 1st through the 16th. In the 9th grade literature, American literature, biology, physical science, coordinate algebra, math 1, and math 2, U.S. history, and economics. This will be the second year in which any student who does not pass an EOCT will be required to participate in targeted remediation and retest during the summer. Summer EOCT retests will be June the 17th through the 27th. Over 1,000 students have registered for EOCT remediation and retest. Summer testing will also include EOCTs, the Georgia graduation test, and the summer graduation test that will be given on July the 15th through the 16th. And then also on the 17th, the writing test. Finally, Dr. John Barge on the last page, number 18, our State Superintendent of Schools and the State Board of Education member Lisa Kenmore toured the Newton College and Career Academy on May the 14th, 2013. Dr. Barge and Ms. Kenmore were greeted by Mr. Woodard, Ms. Fury, and Chairman of the NCAA Board of Directors, Mr. Danny Stone, and staff members at the Newton County College and Career Academy. Chef Jeannie Newton, Chef Chelsea Huey, and the culinary arts staff served Dr. Barge and other guests as an impressive plated lunch. He also had an engaging conversation with the culinary arts associates. The visit ended with a tour of the College and Career Academy. And that concludes our report for this month.
All right. You have the enrollment report.
The enrollment report. Last year at this time, we had 18,919 students. This year, we ended with over 19,056, meaning we have an increase this year of 137 students.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Peck?
No question, but I have something to add and to highlight. On number 18, Dr. John Barge actually was a presenter at the GSBA, and he talked about his trip here too. Yeah, he mentioned it aloud and asked the people from Newton County to stand and talked about the Career Academy. And he even shared a story that he spoke with one of the associates and the student and how the student had improved with the Career Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then Newton County was recognized a couple of times during the conference.
Fabulous.
Are your EOCT scores on the back?
Yes, but not the retest. The retest scores are
I'm glad Mr.
Coordinate
Meadows-
algebra back?
not the retest.
Yeah, I'm glad Mr. Metters mentioned that, because I was going to mention it in my report, but let's do it in a timely manner since you brought it up. There are 8 end-of-course tests administered in Georgia. And Sam, help me, coordinate algebra was a first-time test in the state. There's no prior years against which comparison can be made. And then I always get confused on the literature. Help me there, the English?
The American literature.
It's American literature.
So the American literature is an EOCT assessed course, but because we are switching the courses to more closely align with the social studies, there were very few students who took the American literature EOCT because most of them are not in that course.
All right, so in effect, here's what you have. You have 6 high school end-of-course tests against which you can compare prior year's performance. I don't mind saying, since I'm leaving, that the estimates from Carl Skinner, who was our assessment director, he's given me estimated results based on the individual results he's able to discern. And I'm pleased to announce that in all 6 of those against which we have prior year performance, Newton County showed improvement. So that is very pleasing to hear that from Carl Skinner. I hope he's right, but I have found in my 3 years, guess what? I've not found him to be wrong, so his estimates are probably on target. But coordinate algebra, for example, against which there's no prior year performance to gauge, was not good here nor anywhere in Georgia, to the extent that school systems like Forsyth and/or Fayetteville, I think it was Forsyth, wrote letters home to parents saying, we're sorry our kids bombed the test. We think it's the test and not so much the kids. So Georgia, as we've said at this dais, I've said on any number of occasions, has an issue in mathematics. Not just with the kids' performance, the top issue, but with the curriculum itself and how to best teach rigorous curriculum in the area of mathematics to kids in Georgia. We don't seem to have a great grasp of that. Just looking at the data over a long period of time, not to mention this most recent new test. So it's something that we are going to have to overcome. And Lynn House was telling me just at the reception here earlier today that I think you have lots of staff development coming up for math teachers in Newton County in the near future. But I'm glad that in 6 out of 6 we did better.
But now, what's the other one you can't, American Lit's not new.
Math 1.
Math 1, and coordinate algebra is going to replace Math 2, right?
Coordinate algebra replaces Math 1, and then we'll have analytic geometry replace
Right.
Math 2. And so
Okay.
there are very few Math 1 students, only
Right.
those students who need to retake the EOCT.
So where are did we get the original scores, or did they, you said the retest aren't out, but are the,
We don't have, everything is preliminary right now. They haven't released the state, the
Okay.
school-based reports and all
Okay.
of those things. So everything that we are presenting and talking about is speculation based on what we think is available to us now, what we have available to us now.
okay.
And Dr. Barge actually talked about what you said as well, Dr. Matthews. He said that at the conference.
But we have data sufficient on 6 of the 8 to determine that we improved on 6 of the 8 from last year.
Preliminarily, yes.
Was
What
the
we
was
have-
the improvement, striking?
I should have brought the numbers with them. I have them on my desk. The improvements, as I recollect, were, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 3 points or better everywhere. Maybe with one exception, maybe it was a point or two. I don't remember. But I was pleased at looking at the progress over the prior year. Yeah.
So it's all preliminary. It could be better.
Right.
Or it could go backwards, just
Okay.
they're waiting for all the data to get in.
My guess is it will be better, but that remains to be seen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Peck. Moving on to old business, there is none, so next we move to our new business. Requested board action relative to the adoption of FY 2014 budget. Ms. Bullard, you are up.
Superintendent.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a
Right, this is a
motion.
work session and a regular.
Yes, you're right. We need a motion to approve the superintendent's reports.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. All right, now, moving on to item A
I
of new
didn't bring
business.
my memo, but the superintendent recommends we approve the 2014 budget.
All right. Do we have any questions from board members or?
I have a question. Sorry. My only question is, are we going to address with the ombudsman transportation with it before this approval, or
You can do it tonight, or you can do it at any time
Okay.
before school starts, and we can amend our budget at
Okay.
any
So we could
That's
do
what
it
I
at the
need to know.
combined meeting in July.
You could.
Okay.
Right. I think the transportation just needs to know.
So they can notify the
Probably by
students.
July, right.
When is that? What's the date of
The
that?
date of our next board meeting is July 16th.
So that would give you time.
Is transportation here?
Renee's here.
Yeah, they would probably rather know
And
tonight if I had to
yeah,
guess.
school
What
starts
did Kathy
August
say?
2nd.
August 2nd.
Early, yeah. Tonight would be best.
Yes.
For them.
So do we have a motion to approve the FY 2014 budget as it was presented
So moved.
a few weeks ago? All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, was there any discussion?
Within this is where transportation was provided at all stops, correct?
Right.
And we hadn't
the
changed
three
anything.
stops.
That's correct,
Okay.
No changes have been made.
correct.
And we did discuss that at the,
It's
Work.
also provided one additional nurse, if I'm not mistaken, in this proposed budget.
That was there originally.
Yes.
Right,
correct.
originally, that's what I'm,
Yes.
Well, but
I'd
it
like to
doesn't solve
propose
the
a
problem.
change. Yeah, I'd like to propose a change to transportation, but I'll wait to see if it passes or not.
okay.
Madam Chair, we have a motion second.
Oh, we've got a motion, we've got a first and a second, so, then if there's no discussion, we can go ahead and take a vote. But it seems to me there,
Let me ask you this, Madam Chair, would it be more in line to go ahead and approve the budget as presented and pull transportation out to be discussed as a separate issue? Because that
Can we do it
is
that way?
something that I think we need to do, because it will make it a lot clearer and more understandable if we go ahead and approve the budget as is, but pull transportation.
Pull transportation.
out.
Tonight.
You-
Well-
Right, so if I may, could I amend my motion? I would like to make a motion that we approve the budget as presented with the option of pulling transportation out to be voted on separate.
Second.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Well, that doesn't get to the issue you brought up at the budget hearing on nurses, though, does it?
well, in this budget is one additional nurse over the prior year. Is that correct, Samantha?
Well, then it
Yes.
does it get to the issue you raised at the budget hearing on a
Oh,
monitor?
Abigail, that Ms.
Yes.
Coggan raised.
Yes,
Oh, I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes,
No,
yes,
I'm
yes,
talking
yes,
about-
yes, no, no.
Well, I'm talking about the monitor. You raised that, did you not? You made a recommendation of a monitor,
That was
Gary?
That's a
for the
transportation.
transportation.
I got you.
Yeah.
So now we've had the amended,
You gotta do oppose.
I know, so all those opposed,
We're gonna discuss the transportation later.
yeah.
Okay, so.
So we're just,
fine.
this is just approving the budget as is, taking away the transportation part.
Right, out.
Well, how we gonna approve a budget? And we're gonna take some out?
No, we're gonna do it for discussion
Yeah,
tonight.
you're gonna vote
Exactly.
tonight.
We're gonna vote
It's a
tonight. We're
separate,
just
yeah.
Okay.
passing everything
I
else.
support
And
that.
then we're gonna take up the transportation in just a few minutes.
Let's-
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right, it passes, the budget, 2014 budget passes minus the transportation section, which now we will take up. All right, there was discussion about the transportation to ombudsman. I believe it was 314,000, is that dollars for?
130.
113, I'm sorry, sorry.
26, 27.90 per student. That's without the monitor, which would raise it 500 per student.
500 per student.
Well, what was the cost of the monitor? It was suggested 20 or 40.
Do you have that old list of?
But did you,
Let me see what I got, my notes are all here.
was the recommendation 1?
Right, well, here's the context. The context is Renee Finley's office reporting to me,
Yeah,
and then ultimately to
465.
you, the number of incidents on the ombudsman bus over the last couple of years. I think those instances are fairly formidable, some very egregious, that's required the sheriff to intervene in any number of occasions. So my recommendation has been a choice for you as a board. Either you put another adult on that bus and a monitor and continue to provide transportation to all the students who are enrolled there, or you discontinue that transportation altogether. Now, there was psychology with respect to that second offer to you, which is the notion that when children and parents are faced with the responsibility of getting to and from school, that behavior tends to be different. And I've reported to you that Ombudsman has reported to us that they have found that to be the case in various Georgia school systems wherein they don't provide that transportation for alternative ed students. But that said, my recommendation to you is a choice, one or the other.
May I, Madam Chairman? Okay, after that recommendation was made at our budget meeting, I requested from Mr. Barr a printout or report of the number of students that were going to each drop-off location so that we can do the best fiscally sound thing regards to transportation. He did give us that report, and I think the Oak Hill location or the drop-off location was averaging about 1 to 2 students in that morning. So from that last meeting, I suggested, outside of that recommendation, us possibly moving that location, that drop-off spot, to Jack Neely, since it had more students being dropped off there. Wasn't very many more, but it was more students being dropped off there, because it didn't make sense to have a location with 1 or 2 students when Jack Neely and Oak Hill really aren't that far apart. So you could just combine that drop-off location by still providing transportation to those students at that Jack Neely location.
And it would save the gas from Oak Hill to there.
Yeah, with Mr. Barr not here, I really don't know how to respond to that unless Jan has insight to that. But our
What does that
transportation-
preclude the need for a monitor?
No, that was not the point. The point of having the monitor was the behavior issues
Right.
they were having on the bus, even when they got picked up, say, at Jack Neely and rode to the Ombudsman school. So it saved some money in transportation for gas, but it did
Doesn't
not,
solve the problem.
doesn't solve the overall problem.
Well, I have a recommendation for that too, and I don't know if this is possible since we just did a lot of last year with changing a lot of our policies and improving our policies. If we could get something in policy or in writing, or maybe create a new policy that if a child is suspended from school for fighting or something like that, then they wouldn't have the privilege of riding for the bus. My logic for that is that if they'll fight in front of a principal or assistant principal, they surely will fight in front of a bus driver. So,
And my
And
other,
if that's the case, then, would you provide transportation at all? Because, majority.
well, then you could fix it based on that. So let's say the students start decreasing that way, because not every child that's being thrown out of school is for fighting.
Right.
As the numbers decrease, then we could fiscally look at if it makes sense to provide that transportation. But that would solve the behavior issue and the gas and,
But can you do that with a kid on an IEP? I don't know that you can say that with federal dollars if you're gonna take them. So you're saying no, you can't?
You would have to hold an IEP meeting to
Right.
determine whether or not the
The
disability has anything to do with
manifestation?
Yes.
I have another question.
Okay.
Do we have any numbers? Excuse me. How many students are actually in the ombudsman that are riding the bus or doing infractions while in ombudsman? The reason I ask that question, that would be a way for us to reduce those numbers, that we could financially say that these students, while there, they're continuously committing infractions, so the numbers are reduced to where it would not be feasible to continue transportation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But is that
So-
different from the data you requested from student services on infractions on the bus? Are you looking at something different? Because there are 43 kids riding the bus.
But my question is, of those students who are attending, are they the ones who have violated another policy? Are they riding the bus? Because if they're in the program and they violate a policy, they should automatically be suspended from the bus. So, that's another tier of punishment. So if they are continuously continuously violating policies and continuously riding the bus, then that,
And, go ahead, no, you go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead, Renee. Renee, come to the microphone where we all can hear you.
That figure was close to 500. With the monitor at 20K, it would bump the cost up $465.12. So we'd be paying for each of those students based on this current fiscal year until we roll into July 1. We'd be paying $3,093.02 for those students to ride the bus. We don't pay that for any other student to ride the bus.
I don't know specifically what the cost is per student for other buses. Do you, Ms. Lumens? I don't have that.
Well, if
I
it were
apologize,
3,000 and we took the population of the system at, say, what, 18,000, it's almost the size, I mean, it's a large portion of your general fund budget, so we wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
Go ahead, Renee. You've been looking at the data on the kids that are misbehaving.
If I understand your question correctly, let me make sure I understand it first.
Okay.
The students that are at Ombudsman, of those students that are assigned to Ombudsman, are you asking, of the 43 that ride the bus, how many of those individual students have been involved in one or more infractions on the bus? Is that
no, while
Okay.
attending ombudsman.
right, after they have been at Ombudsman?
Correct.
Okay. I have had at least 20 students this year out of 43 that have had one or more infractions on the bus.
Okay. Now, my next question, you may not know this answer.
Okay.
By reducing, as Ms. Baker mentioned, reducing that one bus stop, how much would that save us?
That I don't have an answer for
I
you.
understand, yeah.
I can tell you that all of the students that I've had to address with regard to discipline problems have been from the Jack Neely bus stop.
Because it stops them from my office.
Right.
But
I
it
have
would
not.
save money
And the
in
reason
gas.
I'm asking these questions is because if we can show over the past year or two, this has been the trend, then we can comfortably say that it's not feasible to provide transportation because of the cost, and this is why. But I think, with us having all the information that we need, then that way I think we can validate our reason for eliminating it or reducing or what have you, if that make any sense to you.
You were saying the problem would fix itself.
Exactly.
Which is what I was saying with the
Exactly.
policy.
So, without these numbers and having this data before us, it makes it somewhat difficult for us.
I think, excuse me, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The way we got the trips designed, students, 15 or more students, and we got them out there on the street. And when you put 15 students out there on the street, no supervision, no nothing, you are asking for whatever we are getting, and that's trouble. The mere fact that, and when they start their little section of, I won't use the word gang, but teaming, or whatever the kids normally do, they're gonna put it on the bus, they're gonna take it on the bus, and they're gonna take it to school, and they're gonna bring it back on the bus. We are our own worst enemy. Why don't we separate, at least for start, where the students are picked up and how many are there? You go by there and just sit and observe. And I ask the board members, before they leap into what is cut off, go observe what's taking place. I think you will change your mind before you do this, and I encourage you to do it. Now, is that will solve all the problems? No, it's not. It won't do it. And it's amazing to me that we can sit and talk about transportation, 107,000, when we have a director of transportation has offered and suggested that the way our zoning is, it is expensive, and we won't address it. I wonder why. I don't understand it. We fail as a board to do that. And our director saying there's savings there. Why don't we address it? That's my question to my colleagues here. Thank you.
All right, are there any more questions? for Ms. Finley?
The only question I have is about the policy. How hard would it be to put a policy in place similar to either what I'm saying or Mr. Turner is saying by looking at the infractions and automatically dismissing those students from eligibility to riding the bus, which in turn would kind of solve the problem by itself?
Based upon the infraction that takes them to tribunal?
Or them committing something while, I hate to say commit, let me change that, that sounds harsh. Them doing something while they're at ombudsman.
I can't speak to the purpose, and maybe Ms. Fury and I can discuss about the policy with them riding the bus for certain infractions, but I can speak after they get to ombudsman. If they are involved in a physical altercation, I do remove them from the bus.
You do? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I think your code of conduct already gives Renee and us the discretion to remove students from the bus as the policy states. So we can, I don't know that it's necessary to further delineate that, given the fact that when they go to ombudsman, if they misbehave at the ombudsman program, and especially on the bus, we take them off of the bus.
But are they off the bus for good? Because if that policy's already in place, then
And we need a monitor, then something's not
working, because
Right.
it would have, if they were off the bus, those same repeaters,
Exactly.
it would have fixed itself. So either we're not taking them off the bus when they should have been done, or where is the failure?
You have
Because that goes
multiple-
back to what I was saying about if they're
multiple-
fighting in school in front of the principal and assistant principal and the deputies, then of course they're gonna fight on the bus.
And the tribunal places people, the hearing places people there routinely.
Weekly.
Daily, and so while we may have removed someone from the bus, soon thereafter, they're joined by someone new who then
Right.
creates a problem on the bus. And we've got, it's just a continuous cycle of dealing with misbehavior on the bus, given the fact that the kids are assigned there and we provide transportation at the pickup places. So you're gonna have different people, as long as transportation is available, different kids riding the buses every time the hearing officers assign them to ombudsman.
Okay, so I guess my point is that at any given time, there's gonna be 40-something to 50-something students on that bus that has not committed an infraction. Because the ones who has,
For the moment, that's right.
they've been thrown off. Okay, with that information there, due to the fact there's one stop, we're saving some money because they now have to go to individuals' homes, number one. So, back to what Ms. Baker mentioned, wouldn't we be better off as looking at eliminating one of the stops and have one pickup point?
To increase the violence at the bus stop.
After thinking about this, the only thing you're gonna save by eliminating a bus stop is the diesel fuel. You're not gonna save the bus driver because they're still driving that bus to other stops.
It doesn't solve
It
the
doesn't-
problem.
No, it's still, that's not the
About 3 minutes of
problem.
travel.
Yeah, so that's,
Monetary savings.
Okay, question, just because it seems like we're bypassing the actual problem here, is to stop the fights on the bus.
well, no, that's why I presented two things.
Well, hold on, Dr. Matthews and I at one point had discussed, the, sheriff's deputies, the.
The SROs.
SROs that are at the high schools. Do we not have one SRO that is, in charge, lead, that goes between the schools?
The only person that does that actually is Deputy Ledford, who is in the back of the room, ironically.
Okay, well then
We
that
used to have-
leads us to say, would it be possible to have this person that travels go to that bus stop and be that designated spot in the mornings or whenever the
Well,
drop off and pickup
There are
is?
with 3 sessions, you've got, that would be 3 times a day that they're picking up and dropping off kids. And I can say we've had incidents at all of those pickup and drop-off points, with the first 2 being the most significant. And I don't know, and maybe Lieutenant Ledford can speak to this, but I think it's unrealistic with one person covering the whole county to say that they can do that every single day.
Well,
I might
would it
be-
be
I might be wrong
money
about
well
that, but-
better spent to hire another SRO that could be somebody that goes between the schools in addition to do that, rather than spend money on a monitor? Just somebody that's gonna ride the bus. Because, is there a way that we could, get more bang for our buck, so to speak, by, putting funds towards something else that where we need, obviously we've needed an additional SRO at times. So is there a way to do that instead, and have that be part of that person's day-to-day, or they could split it up? I mean, I don't know, I'm just
What do you
throwing out
think?
ideas here, I'm trying.
Certainly, I think that, I mean, that's an option
Can I
that
make a
that could be
motion?
considered if you add another SRO.
Okay, yes,
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we table this item until the July date, unfortunately, because it seems like we have a lot of questions.
That was, that's
Mr.
why we
Bar-
said we
Mr.
should have
Barbie
voted
back.
tonight. Same amendment.
can we, is that an option we have, Peggy, with the passage of the budget minus this section?
We gotta pass the whole budget, because otherwise we have to pass a spending resolution to start spending money July 1st.
So we've got to make a decision on this tonight.
Well, you can pass the budget, but you can amend it.
We can
But we can amend
amend the
it.
budget.
Back to 0-1.
Okay,
So Alma has to
Pass the
rescind.
budget and then
okay,
Follow the agenda.
Well, then,
okay.
then I think what we
I
need to
think
do
what we have to
tonight
do-
is we have to pass the entire budget. Well, we've already passed the majority of the budget. We need to pass the transportation section tonight. If we can have, our staff look at these different options and come back to us in July, and we can go and discuss amending the transportation portion of it if we need to amend the funds there.
Yeah, Madam Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Mathis, what we may have to do here, we may have to go ahead and vote on the amendment. And if it don't pass, then someone, I can't do it because I made the motion, but someone who did not make a motion can bring back up to be voted on the original motion. I think that's proper procedure.
I think the cleanest way to
You can
approach this
rescind.
tonight is to pass the transportation budget as is, have Mike Barr come back and others with more information in July, and then amend the budget at that time if they so choose. Peggy, you tend to agree with that as the business manager?
That will work.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the cleanest way to do it, the clearest, cleanest way to do it. And July 1, you can begin spending.
Well, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to pass the transportation
Portion.
as presented.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
So, Ms. Lumens and Ms. Finley and Ms. Fury, y'all bring that information back to us on our July? Yes. Will Mr. Barr be back? Yes. Okay. All right. So moving on, item, I think Ms. Lumens, you've got B, C, D, and E, is that right?
I also have F, Madam Chairman.
Oh,
And,
okay, yes, you do. I
Mr.
see it
Barr's
down here, I'm sorry.
Yes. yeah.
Absence.
Yep.
Agenda item B, requested board action relative to renewal of contracts for the school nutrition program. The superintendent recommends the annual renewable contracts awarded to the following vendors be renewed for an additional contract period. The effective date of the renewal will be June 26, 2013, and the expiration date will be June 25, 2014. The first vendor is Dexter's Farms, our produce vendor. The estimated annual contract value is $365,000. The second vendor is Portion Pack Chemical Corporation, the Safety and Sanitation Program vendor. Estimated annual contract value is $40,823. And the third vendor is Coca-Cola Enterprises, who provides beverages to the school nutrition program. The estimated annual contract value is $60,000. Do you want me to present all of them and have one vote?
Yes.
Okay. Item C, requested board action relative to contract for milk for the school nutrition program. The superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for the purchase of milk and related products be awarded to Mayfield Dairy Farms LLC of Athens, Tennessee. Effective date will be June 26, 2013, and the expiration date will be June 25, 2014. The estimated annual contract value is $750,000. Item D, requested board action relative to contract for bread for the school nutrition program. The superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for bread for the school nutrition program be awarded to Earth Grains Baking Company of Decatur, Georgia. The effective date, again, will be June 26, 2013 to June 25, 2014. This contract is through the state of Georgia for a statewide contract for bread and related bakery products, and this is the first time that we've had a contract that we could tie into for bread. The estimated value of this contract is $150,000. Item E, requested board action relative to the renewal of contracts for the maintenance department. The superintendent recommends the annual renewable contracts awarded to the following vendors be renewed for an additional contract period. The effective date of the renewal will be June 26, 2013, and expiration date June 25, 2014. The first vendor is Royal Flush Plumbing, and this contract provides for all plumbing services needed by the school system. The estimated annual contract value is $200,000. The second vendor is Waste Management. The bid includes the provision of garbage and recycling containers for schools and facilities, as well as regularly scheduled disposal of the contents therein. Estimated annual contract value is $156,000. And the final item, item F, is requested board action relative to surplus items. This is from Mr. Barr. The superintendent recommends declaring the items on the attached surplus equipment forms as no longer serviceable to the school system and authorizing the board the appropriate disposal of these items to a salvage company or other disposal method. There are 9 schools involved in these.
All right, do we have
surplus
questions
items.
for Ms. Lumens? All right, then let's and we need a motion to approve items B through F.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item G is Ms. Fury.
Good evening. The superintendent recommends that the 2014 Newton County Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Program Improvement Local Plan be approved. And in accordance with, this is a standard plan that we do every year. And what you see before you is an update with new figures as they are available now. We approve this plan same time every year in June. The plan is laid out for you, identifying any changes that they're summarized thereafter. And then you'll see a chart that identifies performance indicators and where we are with our targets and the performance that we had this year or during the 11-12 school year, and the Georgia's performance. And you'll see that we still have some work to do in technical skills attainment, which is our industry certification, and we're working really hard in that area. Although we have work to do there, you'll see that we still outperform the state in that area. And another area that we continue to work hard in is the non-traditional participation, meaning young women participating in fields that are non-traditionally for females and vice versa, males participating in careers that are not traditionally identified as male careers. Any questions?
All right, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Satterfield.
Good evening. The superintendent recommends the approval of the attached agreements between Newton County School System and the following providers to provide speech, occupational therapy, and vision services to the students with disabilities in accordance with our IEPs.
All right, any questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
All right,
Second?
thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Ms. Fury, I believe you've got the next two, I and J.
The superintendent recommends the approval of a resolution for a waiver of Rule 160-4-8.12, which applies to instructional time for middle school students in an alternative program. It is the same waiver that we request every year so that our middle school students are able to attend the ombudsman program. Are there any questions?
All right. Let's go ahead and take a vote on this. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great. J.
The superintendent recommends approval of a class size resolution for submission to the State Department of Education, which reflects the instructional program class sizes the Newton County school system may utilize during the 13-14 school year that are above the current State Board of Education requirements. And just so you are aware, the document is exactly as it has been in the past. Nothing has been amended or changed as far as what we can go over the 2007 class size regs.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, one question. Can we get where we are in terms of class sizes? Just send it to us, please.
Sure, absolutely. Would you like to see like a, like by school and then the average class size for each? How
Probably
would you
in the
like?
high school. if
In the
you
high
could.
school?
Right.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else want the rest of it, fine, but my notion is the high school.
Absolutely.
All right. Can we get a motion to approve class size waiver?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Item K, Mr. Shaddix.
Oh.
I got a tablet, so I can actually see it. Good evening. Dr. Matthews, I'm saying this for the last time at a board meeting. Madam Chairwoman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. The superintendent recommends the acceptance of a quote from Infinity Network Solutions of $73,264.46 for networking equipment for the STEM program. The STEM program will be located at the 9th grade wing of the old Newton High School, as you all know. Originally, the thinking of the curriculum and instructional staff was to use the pre-existing networking equipment at the old Newton High School to provide technology infrastructure for the STEM program. After reviewing the status of this equipment, the technology department determined that this existing equipment would not be sufficient for the new STEM program. The pre-existing networking equipment at the old high school is obsolete and will be declared surplus in the fall once it is completed the removal process. Infinity Network Solutions will be providing the equipment, the cabling, and the installation. The equipment will be added to two Cisco network switches, 18 Aerohive wireless access points, assorted Molex network cabling, wall plates, connectors, etc., 8 Cisco phones, and installation. The technology department thought it was prudent, due to the limited time available, to tie this networking equipment purchase into the existing contract we have with Infinity Network Solutions for the networking equipment at the new high school. Thus, we're leveraging that contract, which is built upon a much larger scale, and getting excellent prices. The Board of Education approved this contract on August 21st, 2012. The funds to cover this purchase will come out of the fiscal year 2014 Technology Department's capital projects allotment. So it won't come out of general funds and it won't affect anybody's budget.
Okay. Any questions?
I have one question, maybe not so much as the request as it pertains to SIM, but the location of it. I was under the impression that the SIM program was going to be located in the Career Academy initially.
The
I
STEM
don't know if that's your question or not, but I'm
No,
raising the question.
I think I can answer this, and if I can't, Ms. House or Ms. Ferrer will be glad to add. But let me start. The STEM the STEM Academy is attached to the Newton College and Career Academy academically, but they don't have the space in that building to accommodate the number of classes that is planned for this STEM Academy. And so they're converting the far right, if you're looking from the front of the building, the far right-hand hallway, the hallway that ties into the auditorium. So it's the hallway adjacent to the Ram Drive. And that one hallway will be turned into multiple classrooms for the classes. There'll be model classrooms where teachers can come and do professional learning in model classrooms. And it will be set up to handle this program in its initial stage for the 9th graders. As 9th graders matriculate, if I'm not mistaken, to the 10th grade, they will then migrate into the Career Academy.
Well, this led into another question. One, kind of facetiously, if we were going to do all that modeling, I wonder why did we build a new one? But my question is, are we interfering with the raising of the new school by placing this program there? Because there's been no decision, as I know of, as to what to do with it, period. So are we interfering with any future plans that we have not decided on?
The two 9th grade hallways at the old Newton High School, there's the one next to the road.
That's not my question.
No, please, let me give you some background. The 9th grade hallway and the hallway next to it were used both as 9th grade hallways. They are separate from the rest of the building by an open breezeway that it was used for students to sit at lunch and talk and be outside and that sort of thing. So it is, although it's attached at the front through the offices, there's a walkway between this section and the rest of the building. That's the only part that's attached to the rest of the building. So it would be easy to tear down the rest of the building and leave that part intact.
I understand, I hear your explanation, but let me restate it. No decision, to my knowledge, been made as to what to do with Newton County Old High School. Therefore, now we are placing a program in there and superseding a decision that has not been made.
It's my understanding the decision has not been made to what to do with the building. But
That's my point. That's all my point. That's it.
Yeah. What's in the budget, according to Dr. Carpenter, who is in Missouri, are monies for the raising of Newton High School. Just how much you raise is your choice. And what curriculum and instruction has said is they want to provide a science, technology, engineering, mathematics effort for the children of Newton County, a very specified, specialized program of study. And the natural place would be adjacent to the Newton College Career Academy because of all the expertise that resides there, and some perhaps course swapping going on. But in any case, the only other place for such a STEM initiative to take place in the school system is this corridor that we're mentioning here. And I'm with Gary. I see no reason why the rest of the building can't be raised because of the continued existence of that one wing. Now, that said, this is part of a bigger picture. The bigger picture is in the state of Georgia. If you've heard Dr. Barge speak recently, this is one of the major initiatives of the governor and the Georgia Department of Education. That is STEM classwork for Georgia children. So we're ahead of the game in that we want to be one of the first to provide a STEM academy and a STEM program for kids. This is a logical place to put it. Sure, the board could say no. The board could say raise that wing as well. You could do that. Educationally, I would advise you not to do that, primarily because the children of Newton County, I think, deserve a sophisticated STEM initiative, which this corridor will help us provide. But I do not believe at all that it interferes with the raising of the building. You've also got to decide what to do with the gymnasium at the high school. Are you going to raise it? The auditorium, there's talk, if you will, that the auditorium be preserved for the Newton Arts Association, which, as your outgoing superintendent, I tend to favor. So I want to be clear as I exit. Here's what I would suggest the board do in terms of the current Newton High School. Leave this corridor as referenced tonight for the initiation of a STEM program. Provide the auditorium for the Newton Arts Association because the arts are important of a truly well-educated person. And our children deserve that as well as deserving science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And make a decision, I don't have a recommendation on it so much, as to what to do with the gymnasium. But for sure, outside those three things I just mentioned, raise the rest of it. That would be my recommendation as I exit. Now, Ms. Fury will have that to deal with the board as time proceeds. But there are monies in the budget, according to Dr. Carpenter, to raise the whole building if you choose.
Well, thank you, Dr. Matthews. That go back to the initial part of my question, the thrust of my question.
Yes,
That's
sir.
why I made the statement. We are planning now, and this board has not made any decisions. And what I'm saying is before we nickel and dime and start getting in a corner in this building, we need some fundamental planning as to what the total structure will look like. To go spend this money, I'm pretty sure you put it in the best spot. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars and it infringes on a decision that will be made later on. So we shouldn't, and I understand, I am for the STEM program. I'm absolutely for it. But we have not done the proper planning here, in my view.
Well, I don't think we can discuss that. It's not on the agenda tonight, so I don't think that's the topic we've got it for discussion. If you want that to be put on this agenda for another meeting, I'm fine with it. I don't mind it.
Madam Chair.
But the fact of the matter is, the question is, are we going to put the money there for the STEM program tonight? That's what's on the agenda tonight. That's fine. That's what we're having. But just so you know, that, no, you're absolutely right. We have not, there's not been a formal decision made on the raising of Newton High, just as Sharp right here has been sitting empty for several years, and there's not been a decision there. So yes, if we're gonna start raising buildings in schools, we need to do it with all the ones that are sitting empty too. We can't just pick on Newton High, so to speak. So with that said, if you want this on the agenda, talk to Ms. Fury, and Ms. Allen will be glad to put it on the agenda for the next July meeting, and we can discuss that issue at that point.
So we're ready to
But
vote on
also, I
this?
want to see information about Sharp facility also. And
If I could add, by that time, a new deputy superintendent will be here, will be in charge of the planning, so I think it'd be appropriate to wait till
bring
that
that person
person
in.
is on
Right.
board.
Okay, so for tonight, I understand Eddie's point. Yes, if we are going to put money into this building and then decide later on to raise it or whatnot, it will be a misappropriation of taxpayer dollars, so to speak. However, from everyone that I've talked to in regards to this and to the auditorium, there's I believe there's a contract that exists with the auditorium with the Arts Association that says that there's a 50-year lease on it. So I know that part in this section of the building will not be torn down anytime in the near future. So therefore, I don't mind spending the money for this program because that will be used. I think it's a very good program. I think it being that close to the Career Academy and that becoming such a popular program here in the state of Georgia and across the nation, we need that facility. So with that said, I would like a motion to approve the board action to the equipment needed for the STEM program.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, board members. I just want to comment that Ms. Fury can share with you, there's been a lot of planning that's gone into the preparation of this STEM initiative. And our parents, I think, will be very proud of the education provided there. So I want to tell that to the board because I think you'll find that to be the case.
We had a presentation, Dr. Matthews.
Yes, you
I was
did.
going to add, the presentation that the Career Academy actually presented to us at a board meeting many months ago in their PowerPoint said plain as day that it was going to be on the 9th grade hall of Newton High School.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Item L, Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. I respectfully request your approval of my recommendations in tonight's executive session. But I do want to defer to Mr. Turner, who I think wants to comment in that regard.
Yeah, I'd like to recuse myself on page 7, line 5, please.
All right. Motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have some announcements, please. I have to follow. Following the board's vote tonight that you just heard, I'm pleased and privileged to announce the new Deputy Superintendent of Schools who will serve with Ms. Fury as a team going forward. He's in the audience tonight. The new Deputy Superintendent of Schools is Dr. Craig Lockhart. Please stand, Dr. Lockhart. As Ms. Fury could wax eloquently more so than I, Dr. Lockhart brings a lot to the table. He deserves tremendous credit for the vast improvement we've seen academically and otherwise at Newton High School. He is a leader among leaders in this state. Indeed, if you talk to people around the state, they often brag about our Craig Lockhart, as I totally understand it, being a superintendent. He knows school improvement. He knows curriculum instruction. He is a nationally board-certified teacher, and if you've ever seen him teach, he can teach, as some of you in this audience well know, in some of the teaching that we've done here. He's a great teacher, a fine gentleman, and the school district is in very good stead as he teams with Ms. Fury. So congratulations, Dr. Lockhart. Sitting to his right tonight is our new Director of Secondary Curriculum and Professional Development, Ms. Shannon Buff. Shannon, would you stand, please? Shannon is currently an assistant principal at Newton High School, and I think Dr. Lockhart would say that she is also one of the reasons that they've seen major improvement. Teachers, to be sure, at Newton High are that reason, as they would acknowledge, but the leadership there has a lot to do with their improvement, and Ms. Buff has been an intricate part of that improvement. I think the school district has two formidable educators that will serve in these new roles coming up with Ms. Fury. Now, as Ms. Fury could speak better than I'm going to ask her to come to the podium and speak about Newton High School, because we're concerned that Newton High School has outstanding leadership going forward.
As you've already stated, having Dr. Lockhart and Ms. Buff on our central office support team will be instrumental in moving us forward with our students' achievement and our building background knowledge and all of the work that we've undertaken thus far. It does not negate the fact, however, that both of these outstanding educators do come from Newton High School. So you, Board of Education members, can rest assured that the three of us will work diligently to provide Newton High School with outstanding leadership, both at the principalship and in the curriculum and instruction area for the assistant principal's role as well. It is in our best interest as a community that all of our high schools perform at peak performance, and we have worked hard over the last several years to get there. The work it will not end tonight. It will begin, and we will go from here to there and back to ensure that our students have strong leadership in a school that is transitioning to a brand new building. Dr. Lockhart and Ms. Buff, I know for sure, and their team and teachers have already laid out a transition plan for the school to move, and I'm sure that we'll be able to follow that plan even as we select new leadership. And so we are looking forward to the opportunity to bring great talent to the Newton County school system by way of relocating two talented educators in our system.
And thank you, Sam. Congratulations once again.
All right. Item M. This is mine, I think, from what I've been told. I don't really want to do it, but at the same time, I know we need to. We want to recommend the board pass a resolution honoring Dr. Gary S. Matthews. I'd like to read you the resolution now. Whereas Dr. Gary S. Matthews has served Newton County Public Schools as school superintendent with dedication and distinction from July 1, 2010 through June 30, 2013. Whereas during the 3 years he served as superintendent of schools, Dr. Matthews provided the school system with unprecedented vision and exemplary leadership that resulted in significant improvements in student achievement in school facilities. Whereas during his 3 years in leadership, Dr. Matthews increased the transparency of the Newton County schools and in the process earned the Georgia School Public Relations Association's Award for Outstanding Leadership in School Community Relations. Whereas under his leadership, 3 new schools, Flint Hill Elementary, the Newton College and Career Academy, and the new Newton High School were constructed all within budget and on time. Whereas during Dr. Matthews' tenure, there was a significant increase in standardized achievement test scores, highlighted by steady increases on both the Criterion Reference Competency Test and the End-of-Course Test. Whereas Dr. Matthews tremendously increased the use of technology in the classroom by implementing programs including audio enhancement, ViewPath, and the SAFE system. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newton County Board of Education, in its regular monthly meeting this 25th day of June 2013, honors Dr. Gary S. Matthews for his exemplary service to the Newton County school system and its communities. And be it further resolved that the Newton County Board of Education takes great pride in extending its highest commendation and deepest appreciation to Dr. Gary S. Matthews for his inspirational leadership. And be it further resolved that the Newton County Board of Education extends its sincere congratulations and heartfelt best wishes to Dr. Gary S. Matthews as he commences his retirement as superintendent of the Newton County Schools effective June 30th, 2013. And be it further resolved that this resolution honoring Dr. Gary S. Matthews shall be framed and prominently displayed along with his portrait in the E. Wendell Clamp Boardroom at the Newton County Board of Education Building, Covington, Georgia.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor? Or,
Do we need to make a motion?
make a
Yeah.
motion, excuse
So
me.
moved.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great, thank you.
very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much.
And we have a plaque here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. I might say a word or two, Madam Chair. This is sort of bittersweet for me after 38 years in public education and 21 years as a school superintendent. So as I end my career, I want to have Ms. Fury begin her career with my well wishes, and I want her to know she certainly has the well wishes of our community and faculty and staff, and she will not only continue, I think, the improvement here, but will improve on it, and she will do great. In fact, she will do really great things with all of your help and support, all the folks who are in this room tonight. I'm very proud of the progress the school system has made during my time, and I credit our teachers who are on the front line and our principals who are the front line leaders of our teachers, who took a new superintendent at his word that we wouldn't make things up and that we would look at research as to what works and that we'd use data to gauge our progress and intervene accordingly. Our teachers and our principals took me up on that as their new superintendent. And what we have seen is academic progress at all levels of the organization, rather significant in many areas. And it's because our teachers and our principals took us up on the proposition that I mentioned earlier. So I'm sure, Sam, that things will continue in that manner, even as budgets are tough, even as assessments get more rigorous. But my wife Pat and I want to thank the Newton County community for your hospitality, for your support during my tenure as superintendent, and for the friendship that so many of you in the community have provided us. And so we will be forever grateful. And I will be your biggest cheerleader from afar as I do go to part-time employment in Louisiana. So board members, thank you for giving me the privilege to serve as your school superintendent. I am forever indebted in that regard, and we'll stay in touch. And again, I will be your greatest cheerleader from afar. And I guess I would end in thinking about my father tonight, quoting his most favorite person, I think, in the whole world was Douglas MacArthur. And General MacArthur said one time that old soldiers never die. They just fade away. And so it is with old superintendents. Perhaps in some ways we don't die, we just fade away. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. All right, just one matter of interest, or one note before we close. Our next July meeting is July 16th at 7 p.m. and it's a combined work session and regular meeting, like tonight was. And do we have any other matters of interest from any board members?
Yes. I would be remiss if I didn't say to Dr. Matthews that we really appreciate the years you spent with our school system, and we appreciate the tenacity that you've shown in making sure our system move forward. And I would be remiss without saying to Ms. Matthews as well, we appreciate you loaning him to us for this period of time to make sure we move forward. And I wish you and your family the best, and may God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. With that said, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.